Uh, hey, so my name is Corde Snell. Welcome to the very first episode of the Corde Snell podcast, or the Corde Snell show. With me, I got my amazing host next to me, which is Jared.
Hey, what's going on, Corde?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. I'm chilling, man. So this podcast is basically something that I've been wanting to do for a while. I've always wanted to do a podcast, and then Jared kept pestering me. I think what is like 2 years now to start one. And I remember when I first met Jared, he was like, "Hey, you ever think about starting a podcast?" And I had another podcast that I was doing at the time. I was like, "No, I'm trying to be loyal. I want to stick with that one." He was like, "Yeah, but you could do it too. We could do something." And I'm like, "Nah, man, it's cool, man. I got this other one going." Then I've joined the Voice Party podcast, which I'm still part of. That will always be part of that one. But then I started my own thing. Jared convinced me to start my own thing heading into 2024. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this my own little thing with Jared being like the co-host, or just throwing me up some alley-oops to keep the conversation going. So my name was Corde Snell, stand-up comedian, 11 years. It'll be 12 years in August. From the San Francisco Bay Area, from Richmond, California. Been doing this a long time. Got into comedy via drama class, which is always a hilarious story to tell people, and I'll give more insight later. And I'm a big fan of stuff. Like, you see me on Squad shirt. I brought this in because of Squad, me, Jared, and the guy behind the ones and twos, Alex with the camera. Hell yeah. And we're going to talk about some stuff. So, Jared, what's big in the news right now that we had to start this conversation early? Because we were supposed to drop this in February, but we had to start a few weeks early. What's in the news right now, Jared?
News? So the plan was to wait till February, but I mean, I feel like so many things have happened, but the big one was Katt Williams going on Club Shay Shay, just lighting up everyone.
I mean, not everyone, but a good amount of people.
I mean, he even lit up Joe Rogan for a second.
Yeah. He did talk about Joe Rogan because he didn't feel that would be a comfortable place for him to go on. I definitely get that too. You know, like, not everybody, just because Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast out there doesn't mean that everybody wants to go on there, especially a guy like Katt Williams and of his ilk. You know, you want to go where you feel comfortable. I don't know if Katt really knows Joe Rogan like that. And I definitely don't think Katt Williams fans would watch a Joe Rogan episode because, like, I'll be honest, the black community is not big on Joe Rogan. Like, we know about it. We always hear about it. But that's not something we usually go to. Or we'll do this. It's kind of like SNL in a sense, right? Like, oh, our favorite comedian is on this podcast. We'll tune in just for this one episode of the podcast. That, like, I remember I did that for Donnell Rawlins because Dave Chappelle was going to be on there. So now I try to watch the whole Dave Chappelle thing, but I haven't picked up a Joe Rogan podcast since. I've seen clips of like Ali Sadiq and other people I like, and then sometimes you kind of fall in like to like the reels of other comedians. Like, oh, okay, I don't know. Oh, Whitney Cummings? Oh, okay, cool. What'd she say? Oh, Tim Dillon? What did he say? You know, and things like that. But you don't always like tune into a show like that because it's just not your style, it's not your sense of podcasts that you normally listen to. But Katt Williams talked about a lot of people. Shout out to Club Shay Shay. Unc, aka Shannon Sharpe, has an amazing podcast. It's dope. He talks about a lot of different comedians. Talks specifically about several different people. I think he named Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Faison Love, amongst others. He mentioned Ludacris, which was so weird, Harvey Weinstein, and a few other people. And now it's so funny because the people who he didn't mention in this, they started making reaction videos. I think that's one of the funniest things that I've seen. It was like, yo, like, I think Finis Mitchell, who's like, I think the head of Chocolate Sundays at the Hollywood, in Hollywood, I forget what it's called, the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, sorry. He was like, man, you know, I just want to address what Katt Williams said about me. And then he has like his wife in the back. He was like, he didn't say nothing about you. He was like, what? He ain't say nothing. He was like, no. He's like, no. He was saying like, you know, he I ain't good and I ain't wanted to go. So he said he didn't say nothing about you. He was like, what? Not even a mention? You sure? He's like, yes. He's like, well, you know, it was 3 hours. Did you watch the whole thing? She's like, yes. I watched the whole thing. And he didn't say a word about me. Well, Katt, won't you mention me?
Is that what's worse?
Yeah.
Being dissed or being excluded?
Being excluded. Yeah, I mean, And that's the funny thing about it, because I feel people who being excluded, like, hey man, you could have mentioned me and like help get some people to draw my social media, and people could have, start looking at me. I think Mike Epps said something. He's like, Katt man, where you mention me, man? I got a special coming out. Let's get some promo to this thing. But he just literally said he was just jealous that he didn't get mentioned. But also, I feel like Katt was going in on people and like kind of exposing people. So if you're not being exposed, then obviously he likes you. So you not being talked about is obviously a good thing in Katt Williams' book, because also a lot of people haven't like heard negative things about you. Like I remember he mentioned Gary Owen, who's a white comedian but has a predominantly black following. And he was like, well, if it was a case of, I forget exactly what he was trying to say, but he was basically like, if it was so easy for white guys to kind of get be pushed into Hollywood or pushed that kind of stuff, Gary Owen would have been this huge superstar. But I basically saying because he didn't sell his soul, that's why he's not big in Hollywood. So yeah,
I think he said I think in past interviews too, I don't know too much about Katt Williams, unfortunately, but when I started looking at like other clips, he's kind of known for exposing Hollywood, like Illuminati conspiracy style stuff. So yeah, it's nuts. It's I think the biggest thing I found kind of crazy, because he was saying a lot of stuff that I thought was very like expose of other people, but then he was talking about when he was a kid and how he was homeless and how he read 3,000 books a year. And I'm driving to my grandma's house going, that's 10 books a day. Like, are you sure?
Yeah.
So
I mean, you could look at it like, all right, some of this stuff can't be true. Like 3,000 books a day, and he wasn't small books. Like that was kind of funny to hear. I was just like, he's like, I'm a wordsmith, or just it was funny to hear that part. I'm like, 3,000 books a day. And at the time in my head, I'm just like, man, I wasn't even interested in reading back then. I was like, that's a lot of books to be reading. I was like, we had video games. I had Super Nintendo, Sega N64. But then he did say he talked about his home life, and he actually moved and was homeless and moved to Florida, and then was homeless in the Bay too as well. And I've heard that story a lot. Like I remember people saying, it's Katt, because it was, I think people try to claim Katt was from the Bay, I think at times, but it was because he lived here for a period of time, and he also lived here in Sacramento. So Bay Area always show love. Like when you from here, you kind of, especially if you honed like your niche, your career comedy in the Bay, then we kind of like, like Tupac. We adopt you. He grew up on the East Coast, but we adopted him here in the West Coast in the Bay Area. So I always heard about Katt Williams being homeless, because I remember people was like, Katt was homeless. Katt was like trying to make it and stuff, and was always, you could always see him catching the BART with his son who was pushing the stroller. And I was like, oh snap! And to be like this huge phenomenon now, you gotta respect it, because he still does a bunch of stadium tours. Like he does, I know he goes like to LA a bunch. He goes to Sacramento all the time. I think he'll do like Stockton, and he does always have a theater tour or a stadium tour that he's always doing and selling out. So yeah, I mean, you gotta respect that.
And he has 12 specials that have been on Netflix. 12 specials on Netflix. Not all of them have been on Netflix, or probably he has 12 specials. Not all of them have been on Netflix, because when he started putting out his specials, Netflix wasn't around. No. Netflix wasn't producing specials back then, because Netflix has been around since the Blockbuster days. But I know what you're trying to do, Jared. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get into Cedric Entertainer. When Katt said the Cedric Entertainer got 4 specials that nobody see, and it's not on Netflix or Tubi. Now the Netflix one I kind of understood, but when he said Tubi, I was dying. Like, cause then he said it twice. I'm like, yo, why you going so hard? He was like, and then Shannon Sharpe, so you think he's not funny? The world has said he's not funny. And I'm just laughing in my head, because I'm just like, damn. Not even in my head, I'm laughing out loud because I'm watching this, and I'm just like, damn. Like, I was at work on lunch, and I'm busting out laughing, and my coworkers looking at me like, what the heck you watching? I was like, oh, nothing. So I had to get up and leave so I could just like prompt it up and just watch it. I was just like, oh, this is engaging. This man going in. But it's funny, because that last special that Cedric the Entertainer did with the Bominicious joke, I always wondered what that special was. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I tried to look for it. I couldn't find it. It might have been on Netflix, or people said it's on Netflix. You know how you see something that like on viral that's like on the internet and stuff, you be like, where's this? Like, where's this at? Like, and sometimes you can't look it up, but then because you don't immediately find it, you give up on it. And like, I couldn't find it. We were like, did you look up on Netflix? No.
but I couldn't find it though. Like, so I don't know where that special was, but that Bominicious joke, which has now come into question, which I hate because it's a great joke, has went viral. I don't know how many times. I think it's probably sitting there probably like 20 to 30 million because I keep seeing it everywhere. I seen it on the internet about 2 years ago, and that's why I want to see the special because it was a funny ass joke. I'm like, I want to see it. Now, Katt says that Cedric Entertainer doesn't write, and I'm just like, damn, like does he not? And I don't know if he does or he doesn't, but I know that joke was hella funny. And since then, the internet has said this is a joke from a show back in the 80s that tells it kind of not verbatim, but it's like the Bominicious story is what the guy says. And then he's like, the joke is about CJ. For me, because Cedric Entertainer's main killer joke was the delicious joke back in the day. He was like, hey, my name Daryl, but everybody called me Delicious. He was like, what? He's like, hey, I'm a grown ass man, dog. I'm not. I ain't about to be calling all the grown man Delicious. Like, what if you down the street or something? Hey, yo, Delicious. Hey, Delicious. Hey, D, hold up, man. Let me talk to you real quick. So I felt it was a play on funny names like that. That's where I thought it came from, but I think it came from a show. I don't know if it did, but that's what it seemed like people are drawn to together. But it could be like, it could be something that's just, parallel thinking and it was out there, but I don't know. I like the joke. It's funny to me, but
I wonder how hard it is. Like now I think it's really easy to, like you said, have the same idea as somebody else and be working on it concurrently and then realize like, oh shit, like you have a joke like that too.
Yeah.
I with the internet, I think it makes it a lot easier. I wonder how much that must have been going on back then before you could actually see what someone else was up to. So I don't know. What do you do in that situation? If you have a joke and you find out someone you like also like has a joke very similar. Yeah. Is it a competition to put it out first or I don't know.
I think it is sometimes a competition to see who puts it out first but let's say it's this. Let's say it's your joke and you start telling someone else about it. And now the competition for them is I'm going to work on this joke and put it out first because they've told me about it. I feel like that's happened to me. Where I started telling, I'm gonna start talking about this. I'm gonna start going in this lane, start working on this, like, cause I feel like this is a topic that's not really talked about. And sometimes with comedy, you want to go the opposite way of where everybody else is going, cause that way you're original, and then you're looking at it at like a different perspective as well. So so that happened. I said I was gonna start talking about this. A comedian came up with a joke. It's a pretty good joke, and the reason why it's pretty good because I came up with the concept of it.
Yeah.
But then I go into different ways of how to tell it. And then people are like, oh, have you told this on stage? And I'm like, nah, I'm still trying to figure out how to tell it because I'm trying to make it right. But eventually I just got to start saying this stuff because other people walk off with your material. Now, one thing that Katt Williams talked about was the joke that when they said, I feel like the joke that Katt Williams talked about because it was on BET, and this was back when Katt Williams was going by Cat in the Hat. That was his original name before, but he said he had to stop going by that name because of cease and desist from whoever owns the Cat in the Hat. I think it was Disney. They said cease and desist, stop using that, so he started going by Katt Williams. And he told a story about like when you driving down in your car, brake, start messing up, or you driving with your music and you bumping with your music and stuff. And then that same joke was told on the Kings of Comedy, but instead of a Oldsmobile, it was in a spaceship. So very similar, and Katt accused him of stealing the joke. So it's hard, it's interesting. Like that's how I'd be like, damn, this stuff is interesting. And you start finding out some info about it. But Katt, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about some of the stuff. Like I remember he mentioned Steve Harvey specifically. He was like, you asked that man straight up. He was like, hey Steve, why was you a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. You was like, you was lying. Because for me, like I love Steve Harvey, but in my head, that did sound funny to me. Because if we look at the stand-up comedian blueprint, we always think of people who, once you start comedy, you want to start getting into movies or getting into shows. So you want to become some kind of a star because like everybody, Richard Pryor, stand up, movies, movies. Eddie Murphy, stand up, movies, movies. Bill Cosby, stand up, TV shows or a scripted TV show. Steve Harvey got a scripted TV show, and then it's kind of like he started becoming a daytime talk host, or he started doing Family Feud. He started doing a bunch of stuff. Now, my mom was a huge fan of Steve Harvey, so she kept up more with him, like about this thing he was saying. He's like, I'm retiring from stand-up comedy because I have too many TV shows. He's like, because he has 7 TV shows. Katt said he didn't. I don't know if they were all TV shows, but I remember he said he had the he had the morning radio show. Then he had his afternoon show. Then he had Family Feud, and then like a few other stuff. I think he was hosting. She still hosting like Miss Universe. Remember when he messed up that one time, and he said the person's wrong name, and then he got invited back again for the next year. And then I think it was Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Was he hosting that, or it was Kids Say the Darndest Things, or Brilliant Kids? Because I remember this one kid he was sitting on the couch, and he was hosting, and he asked him. He said this kid is super bright and he's great at math, and he gave him like some complicated problem. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be just some simple thing, and he gave it to him, and it was like, let me see, it was 300,255. Like I'm just saying a random number, but I was like, damn, like I'm somebody who's good at math, and to hear him multiply, like, so let's say it's like this: 24 times 48. Okay, I can kind of do that, right? Times 63. Times 18, times 20, times 59. After those first 3 numbers, I stopped thinking. I just said, all right, it's going to be something, you know? But the kid sat there and actually answered it. It was Little Big Shots. Okay, Little Big Shots was the show. And that was in 2018. So that was crazy and amazing. But yeah, it was something I'm like, maybe somebody don't want to get into being a mega movie star, because he has been in movies here and there. I remember he was in Love Don't Cost a Thing. I remember also he was in Johnson's Family Vacation. He was also in it was a little small part, but he was in You Got Served with Omarion and Marcus Houston back in the day. So I don't know. He said he want to be. We got to take him at his word, you know? Got to take him at his word for that. But then if you see him on all these TV shows, it does open up the realm of like, hey, I don't have to always just be a movie star. I can become a talk show radio. I mean, a daytime talk show host, which to me, I'm like, is always super dope. Because, all right, Jared, when you grew up and you were sick, how many talk shows or daytime television shows did you just watch?
Oh, that I unfortunately watched way too much, like Maury. Like that was the only time I was watching that.
That was
stuff.
Not a bad thing. That was the good thing that you look forward to when you were sick. Maury, Jerry Springer, Ricky Lake. I don't know how old you are. Ricky Lake, and there was like another old white chick who like had red hair. My grandma didn't like. She was like, this lady gonna get kicked off, and she eventually did. It was Ricky Lake. Yeah, look, Ricky Lake, because Ricky Lake came back all of a sudden and was gorgeous as hell, because she was like kind of chubby, but not like really. She just wasn't like super fine, so it was like whatever, you know. But then she came back hosting again with this MILF body. And then she I'm like, damn, Ricky, like, hold on, almost like, you back hosting? But she took like 10, 12 years off, and that's like when Maury blew up, and it was crazy. I'm like, yo, this like, she's fine as hell again. But yeah, so daytime, so he had the Steve Harvey show, and then was in Chicago, and he moved from Chicago to LA. Sally Jesse, right? Yeah.
Is that the other one you're talking about?
I don't know. Maybe it could be.
Sorry, I totally just killed you.
It's all right though. Cause so my mom loved the Steve Harvey show. I liked it too. Like I remember I used to watch a lot of Steve clips like on Facebook Live and stuff. And he went from having it in Chicago to LA. My mom honestly felt that moving it from Chicago to LA was the wrong move, because he recorded his show, because he moved to Chicago, recorded his morning show there, but he wanted to get more draw, or this, studio head said they wanted to get more draw, so he moved to LA. But then he lost a core part of his fan base. My mom always feels, she was like, because do a move to say this is going to bring in more people, we're going to be more diverse, we're going to be appeal to everybody. And some of the changes, she said, it just wasn't the same. And I was like, Mom, you watch this show? She's like, I watch this show. I watch the Queen Latifah show. I don't watch Ellen as much because sometimes she's like, I don't really know the guests who's on there. So I'm like, of course you don't know a lot of white guests. She's like, yeah, that's just not for me. But and then Queen Latifah and Ellen Shaw, I think, came on at the same time. So that was like another reason why she couldn't do it. And I think eventually Steve Harvey and Ellen Shaw came on at the same time. So it was just, you had to pick and choose because like she sleeps in the morning. Those shows start like around 10. So she watched them all the way up until then. But then the show stopped happening and then he moved to Facebook, which was cool too. I still watch a bunch of stuff on there. But you could tell the dynamic and like the makeup of the show was a little bit different. But it's still a realm you could do because... Like, Jared, would you ever want to do late night television show like a James Gordon who has moved on from that, or like a Stephen Colbert, or the Late Show with I don't know why I'm blanking this name. He has the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's that one show where they let non-comedians run it for a while. I think it's like the Late Show.
Yeah.
Where like John Mayer did it for like a week.
Okay.
And that just pissed everybody off. You're like, what can't John Mayer do? Like, this is ridiculous. He's hilarious.
Okay, real quick. I don't know who John Mayer is. I don't know none of his music, but John Mayer has been somebody who I've been hearing since Eminem mentioned him on was it Relapse CD? He's like, sit down, John Mayer, because Jessica Simpson sit on the bench or something like that, something crazy. But and I'm like, I don't know who this white man is, but I've been hearing about him since Dave Chappelle did a few shows with him or did a tour with him and stuff. And I just hear John Mayer all the time, like, John Mayer, will you leave us the hell alone? Did he date Taylor Swift or something?
He's dated everybody. Okay. Yeah, I think he did date Taylor Swift for a little while.
Is he young? Is he old?
He's probably, let's see how old he is.
I feel he's like 46, but he probably
that
like
sounds
56.
about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's about that. He's he's known as a pop musician, but he's actually a really you had got on the dot. He's 46.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he's really a blues musician. Yeah. That's what he likes to do.
Okay.
And then it also turned out that he's pretty funny. He's a pretty decent actor.
Right.
And he's known because he was like this big nerd when he first came out. He was kind of chubby when he did like Your Body is a Wonderland, all those. Okay. And then he lost a bunch of weight. And then he just dated everyone in Hollywood. And they found out he has a big old wang. Mm-hmm. So it was like he can play guitar, he could sing, he's got a big old wang. And then he's like on doing the Dave Chappelle sketches. Okay. And they're like, he's funny too.
All right. So we hating on a fat dude who got skinny and started fucking a ton of women in Hollywood? That's what you're just telling me?
Exactly.
That's what you're telling me right now. Hey, man, shout out to John Mayer, man. Shout out to John Mayer. We can't all be big for all of our lives. And see, that's why everybody hate him, because they loved him when he was fat and he was adorable and he wasn't stealing that girl. All of a sudden he became a sex symbol. Hey, yo, fuck John Mayer. See, when Corde loses about another 70 pounds and just get out here looking like a sex symbol and shit, hey, don't let me get a six-pack. I'm not gonna lie. Don't let me get a six-pack. I'm gonna fuck everybody's girl. Travis Kelce will probably be married to Taylor Swift by then. She gonna make a whole song about me. It was like called Dark Times. It was just gonna be me fucking her in the bathroom. That's what it was. It's gonna be, the lights was out, so that's what she's gonna call it, Dark Times. Also, it's gonna be a reference to my skin. We Stop hating on us. If Rick Ross becomes like a bodybuilder all of a sudden, he gonna get hated on too. He start losing weight and then people start making him because he had like big boobs and stuff like that. He like, he got man titties. But hey, man looks good for his size. I think he said he weighed the same amount as he used to in high school. And also that man had like seizures and stuff like that. Sorry to go dark right now, but when a big dude lose weight and I'm gonna let y'all into something real quick. When a big dude loses weight and we can finally stop buying the 4Xs and the 3Xs and we can fit a 2X, you know how life-changing that is? Y'all don't know the struggle sometimes. Like this shirt right here, 4X. I wear 3X. I bought it as a 4X, and sometimes you wash it and it shrinks. And then it's also just a little, maybe a lazy month or two, and I might put on a little bit of extra weight, and then the 4X starts fitting sometimes. That's why I buy a 4X, and then it's extra long too. But if I get back down to a 3X, well, I'm at 3X now, but if I get back down to where a 3X looks baggy on me, and I start wearing a 2X, and then if I get down to an XL, it's curtains for you. I'm gonna be like John Mayer. You gonna find out I can play the guitar. You gonna find out I can sing pretty good. You know, the Dream gonna help me produce an album, or whoever dope who helps people write and stuff like that. You know, I'm gonna put out like an album. Like I'm gonna put out like a country album. They gonna be hating on like they did on Old Town Road from back in the day, right? I'm gonna have to like I'm gonna create a season just like Mariah Carey. I'm gonna have like the number like what if I come out with a fire 4th of July anthem? And then I start making as much money as like they was like, you know who got the corner market? Who got the market cornered? It's Mariah Carey for Christmas and Corde Snell for 4th of July. You gonna see me and all the country bumpkins out there with our jorts, our jean shorts, my cowboy hat and stuff like that. Hell yeah.
It's a good season to own.
Yeah, it is a good season to own. We going off on so many tangents right now. It's cool. It's cool though. It's good. It's good. So let's talk about the main topic is the Katt Williams episode, but let's talk about a few things that I think just ain't true. I don't think Katt Williams can get out here and run a 4.3. Like, you know how fast?
Yeah, when he said that, that was hilarious.
Now, Katt, I don't know if you didn't run a 4.3 at some point in time, but right now, you're not running a 4.3. Because you know why? Because we would have heard about it now. Now, you probably is fast. You probably still getting up and getting it out there. Because I remember it was a clip that I saw. It said Katt Williams says he runs a 4.3. And then right after that, it went into him racing a woman, right? No, but I'm not saying it's not funny because you're racing a woman, but she got up out the gate real fast, and then he turned the jets on and blew past her. Then he raced her again. And then he was like, no, you ever see somebody when they start racing you, and then he was like, I ain't playing no games no more. So you run past him hella much and you cut over in front of him just to show that you fucking him up like that. And then he walked back. He was like, never lost. Never lost. In my head, I was like, that man got darts. Especially if you racing random strangers in your 40s, you in some kind of good shape, right? Because, as I'm 34, right? I remember pulling my hamstring racing a teammate in college. I was 19. No, I was 18 at the time. I got hella mad because I remember I had a hamstring problem for like the rest of the season. It was like May, my hamstring didn't get better to probably August, stuff like that, right? If you were a grown man who's touring, let me set the scene. He had his jewelry on. He looked like he had his outfit that he wore at the show that night. Jeans. Like she was like in some shorts, a tank top, and she took her shoes off. You know when you take your shoes off, they make you faster, right?
I didn't know that.
Or at least it feels like it. But like until your feet start hitting the ground too much, because you're taking the weight of the shoes off. So that's why it kind of makes you faster. But then immediately, if your feet's not used to being hit on the pavement, it hurts. So it slows you down. He raced her in a jean jacket, t-shirt, shorts, and some Jordans. Not the good, like some Jordan 1s. She should have beat this man. And she looked like she was like, because I think Katt Williams is 5'4", 5'5". She looked to be about 5'8". The advantage was hers. And she looked like in her late 20s.
Oh, no.
Look up how old Katt Williams is. Look how old Katt Williams is right now. Katt Williams' age. Hold on, we're going to look it up for this real quick. 52. You getting beat by a 52-year-old? So I ain't saying he probably run a 4.3 now. Maybe a 4 or 5, 4.6, but that woman should have beat him. I wish, because it was a husband recording his wife racing him. I wish that the husband would have got out there and ran, but my guess was he was short and chubby. He knew he couldn't win this race. But yeah, I was just like, all right, I don't see 4.3, but he got some burners. He got some burners out there. All right, what else? What else happened during the Katt Williams? So when you see something like this, so you didn't know Katt Williams, right?
I mean, I know who he was, but
okay.
I've seen clips and stuff. He's not a comedian I pay attention too much.
Katt Williams is huge. Katt Williams is dope. I would love to go on tour with Katt Williams because he takes care of the comedians he goes with. Like Katt Williams is always oversharing. Like some of the things that I've heard about where he said people have came and dropped off money to a comedian, and it was from Katt because he said he knew comedians wasn't making that much money on the road. So if they was gonna get paid this much, he paid him like 2, maybe 3 or 4 times more just to show an appreciation. Also, and that's like love right there, right? Like, like imagine you travel somewhere, you get paid $500 off this show. The gas alone, say you drove, the gas alone there and back was $100. And you got a hotel was $120 or something like that, right? Or and then so you only made $300 off this $500 show, right? But most of it's just costing like, so all right, I'm a little bit in the green. I'm doing cool. And then somebody walks up and pays you an additional $2,500. You good for several weeks. You can probably pay your rent for 2 months if you share an apartment with somebody, or you can if you're trying to book some other shows, maybe out of state, you can afford that plane ticket to do an out of state show that you didn't have before because things was tight. You can probably, if you travel with your car most of the time, you could probably fix some upkeep on some that your car need. Like I saw a meme that said my brakes screeching as my kids opening up their Christmas Day presents. You can probably get those brakes fixed that awesome little. Maybe you can upgrade your car that you wasn't able to do before. That this car been getting me through back and forth, but it's like a 2005 Honda or something like that, and we in 2024. That thing almost 20 years old. You got like 180,000 miles on it. So that has always been a part of Katt Williams' just normal generosity. I think one time he wasn't performing, but I think Benny Siegel was performing. And he was on stage dancing and stuff like that, and he gave Benny Siegel a Lamborghini. Like, just generosity. Because I feel like, because Katt is so successful, why not share it with the world? Also, another thing, when he said, don't look up my net worth. Don't look up my net worth because it ain't accurate. He said, one time I looked at my net worth, I think and then in the clip it said $2 million. He said, and I had that in my pocket. He said, I had that on me. So it could be in his pocket, it could be in bags. But I'm just like, damn, must be nice. But you don't know how, successful. Because if you're doing stadium tours, I heard the breakdown, this was years ago. I think the breakdown was each stadium that you sell out or that you perform in, especially if you sell it out, right? And they come in just to see you, instantly $550,000 per stadium. So, or arena, arena, not stadiums. Because stadiums, I think, is like on a whole nother level. I think stadiums is like 1 to 2 million. Because stadiums, you think like football stadiums, but a per arena. So let's say if you did Oakland Arena, right, or Chase Center, or if you do both, Oakland Arena, you sell out that one, $550,000. Sell out Chase, $550,000. And I think I heard this in 2017, 2018, and with inflation, it can go up. And I remember one time I went to see Kevin Hart. It was 2013. And he had sold it out. And it's just like, he was amazed. He was crying and stuff like that. I went to see him again. He had 2 shows. 2 shows at Oracle Arena. And I'm like, so when I walked away, I walking away with my little $70 ticket. This man just made $1 million off 2 shows.
That's crazy,
right? That's why you can afford people like, hey, like keep your phone away. You can afford extra security. You can afford like all this extra stuff. You can afford a stage. You can afford different sound. And then I made $1 million here off 2 shows. Then I'm going to Sacramento tomorrow to do 2 more shows that are possibly sold out or low ticket warning, which is amazing to hear as a comedian. Then you got those 2 right there. That's another $1 million. So you just did from Oakland to Sacramento. That's $2 million right there. Then you probably going to Reno. Later on, you probably gonna go to usually somebody hit up LA. In LA, people love to stay in LA for like long. I remember I think he did 6 shows one time in LA just because the Forum blew him up and a lot of stars are down there. So the stars was really messing with Kevin Hart and stuff like that. So you doing like 6-7 shows, each show, 6 shows, $3 million, 7 shows, 3.5, 4 shows. That's $4 million right there. So you just. And that's 3 cities. That's 3 cities, I said. That's just Cali. That is Cali. I didn't say Texas, Florida. I didn't say Michigan. I didn't say Philly, where he from, where he gonna do a stadium, a football stadium, where you can only do half of it, but that's a whole nother level because basketball arenas, I think said like 10 to 15,000 or 18. Maybe the biggest one said like 18. Philadelphia, that's 100. That's 100,000, and you sold out half of it. That's 50,000.
Yeah, so Chase Center holds about 18,000 seats. So yeah, that's nuts. 9,000.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to say, he was very adamant didn't happen, but Distractify says did, was that he was married from 1990 to 1995.
Yeah, that's something I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either.
But I know he was very adamant to Shannon Sharpe that like, I've never been married.
Okay.
Apparently he did to somebody named Quadria Lucas. But it says his net worth is $2 million on here.
Yeah.
And I had that on me.
I had that on me. That was one thing. I'm like, hey, I definitely know his net worth is not $2 million. Because, all right, so let's say this, right? Let's say his net worth is $2 million. Okay. Like how he said, I'm gonna do a 100 city tour. That's going up immediately. If he's doing arenas, right? How much he make per arena? 500,000. So for shows, his network just went up, they double, you know?
Right.
Or your network could be what they think you have versus actually, you know, because, you know, it's like liquidation and stuff like that, like how much you have in the bank or like what they approximately think you have. Then it's like take out what, you know, so it could be like I ain't never heard Katt out here struggling financially.
Right.
It might be like other stuff where like he's at like different bouts of like other stuff. Like he said, he's always in his right mind. But we've seen like some terrible things happen like to Katt, you know, like he's been arrested like a bunch of different times. So that definitely cost him like some kind of sense, you know, you're supposed to do like a movie or something, but you can't because you got arrested and you can't go on the trial, you know, so paying legal fees definitely hurts him as well. But we ain't seen him in jail. We ain't seen him like, you might have seen a mugshot, but then you didn't see. Katt Williams is going to court again for for this huge, crime that he's up against or something like that. That's really just because that's what they say sometimes when an entertainer gets in real big trouble and they have to keep going back and forth to court. That's time consuming. That's less dates they can do. Like all this stuff. None of that has been happening with Katt Williams. So.
Yeah, it says here 30 times. And he said in the podcast that was because he was charged with carrying like an unregistered firearm or something like that. Yeah. And he said, I'm always going to do that because where I'm at, it could get dangerous. Yeah. So I just tell the cop, I have something on me.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they don't like you, they're going to pull you over. So I remember one thing, he talks about this in his stand-up. He was like, white people, they will believe you. He's like, they will fight for you no matter what. He was like, murdered who? He's like, I've known him for 15 minutes. He would never do something like that, right? He's like, I know what y'all going to want to talk about. You're going to talk about, like, I got arrested with a gun. Yes, I did. He's like, my white friends didn't understand, but my black friends understood. He's like, I got arrested because I had somebody else's gun. It was like, black people was like, yeah, that's smart. That's smart. My white friends like, why would you have somebody else's gun? I was like, you think I'm gonna have my gun on me? Like, if you involved with certain kind of stuff like that, you not gonna have your registered gun that's probably at your house on you. You'll have like a unmarked gun, kind of shit like that. I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but that's what
I believe they call them ghost guns.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, that's how so it doesn't trace it back to you if something happens. You always hope that it doesn't, but yeah.
Definitely.
Just go out. What's going on?
Nothing.
Okay. Bernie Mac. I say so. One thing I did hear about. I remember they talked about the Kings of Comedy. He talked about the Kings of Comedy tour. We said it's supposed to be Steve Harvey's tour, but he couldn't sell out or whatever, or he couldn't headline or something. I don't know. He talked about it on initially because there were several different iterations of the Kings of Comedy tour. It ended up being just Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac, Cedric Entertainer, and D.L. Hughley. I remember I forget his name, but he did a documentary on the Comedy Store about there was a black night that was at the Comedy Store. I don't know why I can't. It's blanking right now, but he did a I think it's Guy Torry or Guy Torry. I think it's Guy Torry. Him and his brother. He did it on. I think it's not Chocolate Sundays, but it's Tripping on Tuesdays. I think it might have been or something like that. Look it up real quick.
So it's a documentary about the
Fat Tuesdays. That's what it was. Fat Tuesdays, which kept the Comedy Store alive. It was a way that it was a black night at the Comedy Store that happened for years, where all the big names went through and came through it. So Guy Torry was part of the tour initially. I heard it was 5, or like him and DL kept rotating out, but then I think Guy Torry had went and did a movie or something like that, and they kept D.L. Hughley on, and then it became just the four of them. I did hear, like, have you guys seen the Kings of Comedy?
No, I haven't.
Okay, have you seen it? Okay, I'm talking to the camera guy. If you guys wondering like why does the other person respond? I heard if you've seen it, legendary. I think it came out in like 1999 or 2000. Legendary comedy special. Super amazing. It was the first time I saw Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer do stand up, and D.L. Hughley and Bernie Mac, because at the time, first off, it's R-rated. So in 1998 or 99, I'm like 9 or 10 years old, and Def Jam was a height that I couldn't watch because there was a lot of cussing in it. My parents always talk about they love when we went to sleep so they could watch Def Jam. So it was a huge thing in the black community. That comedy special was huge and was so fucking funny. Bernie Mac ended up in the movie going last. I heard in the taping he went first. So Bernie Mac, who ended it, was amazing. Funny to me, the funniest out of all of them. Steve Harvey hosted. Then it was D-Hill. Then it was Cedric. And then it was Bernie Mac. That's the order in the movie it goes. But I heard the actual order was Steve goes up 15. Bernie did his, DL, and then Cedric closed it out because he was out of the people on the tour, Cedric and Steve Harvey was the two most famous. D.L. Hughley had just got the Hugleys at the time, and I think it was like in its first season. And Bernie Mac hadn't had a show at the time. Wanted one though. I still remember. He was like, "Hey man," he was like, "America." He's like, "Well, I ain't got a TV show." I tell you what, I know I ain't got a TV show because you're scared of me. Think I'm gonna say something. You know what? You goddamn right. Yeah, I ain't gonna say something. Look here, you already fucked me for a long time. It's one of the funniest moments. But I actually heard that was actually some of the friction that happened behind the scenes, was that Bernie Mac couldn't understand why he didn't have a TV show. And I remember we watched that special for like years and years. And then he finally got a special. I think it was like 2003, 2004. But you gotta think about it. If that King's Comedy came out, because it was in theaters and it came out in 99 or early 2000s, he didn't get a special till like, or his show until like 4 or 5 years later. That's a long time to be waiting, and you still like touring like the country, you know? So shout out to Bernie Mac. That man was one of the funniest ever. Do you know about Bernie Mac?
I do know who he is. I know he had a show too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Look at Bernie Mac show. Look at Bernie Mac show when that came out, because that was super, super funny. I remember, another huge clip about Bernie Mac, because I love Bernie Mac, and I heard more genuine stuff about him being from Chicago and how great he was. That man had a serious work ethic. He would work a day job all day and then go do comedy until like 2, 3 in the morning, and then get up at like 6, 7 a.m. and then like do dad duties, take his kids to school, go do a job, and then go and work like his day job, and then do comedy at night. And I'm like, that's a serious grind right there. Also, one of the main things that kind of put Bernie Mac on, besides a bunch of different other movies, was his stand-up set in and on Def Comedy Jam. He had one of the best sets of that night, because they said the crowd was rowdy. The crowd wasn't listening. They had just booed the comedian beforehand, right? And if you know, when the crowd rowdy and they ain't just booing the other dude and they ain't listening to him, they said Martin Lawrence, who was the host at the time, he couldn't do much either. Give him the intro was kind of weird, but it was, one of those intros where it was like, I don't even know what to say, so I'm gonna just say this and I'm gonna bring you up kind of things, because like, y'all ain't listening to me. I can't calm y'all down. He's like, this dude from Chicago loves motherfucking coffee. He's motherfucking, so he's like, give it up, Bernie Mac, So Bernie Mac walks out, and they later tell the story that Bernie Mac went to the DJ. He's like, hey man, I don't know, they kind of rowdy out there. He said, don't worry, young brother, just introduce me. I got this, right? And he went over to DJ Kid Capri, and he gave him a signal. He was like, hey, when I say, hey, I'm gonna say kick it. He's like, I'm gonna say kick it. You play the music, and I'll go like this. You're gonna turn it off, right? So Bernie Mac comes out dancing and stuff like that, having like the little thing, and then he's like, he gets on the mic. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. They ain't gonna scare me. Says one joke or two like that. Got him laughing. He's like, kick it. Doom, 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 doom. Give him the cut. He was like, you don't understand. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. And it goes down as one of the best Def Comedy Jam sets ever. And that kind of like catapulted his way into stardom.
He was in Friday. He was in House Party 1 and 2. He was in like a bunch of other like random stuff. He was in the Mystery 3000, but that was kind of when he was on his own doing his own thing. But he was always like popping up as like a funny regular. And he was in Above the Rim. He played a homeless dude. He I heard like he had like his own like Bernie. He had like a show or something, like a late night show or something that he did, and where he like did like an interview. So it was like all this other stuff that was like kind of like basing like in Chicago, that he all kind of stuff. So by the time he finally like broke out, he had almost all his talent and all this like credibility and all this like experience. So when he finally was doing it, you know, Midnight Mac was a thing that he had. So yeah, it was yeah, so it was dope. Love Bernie to death. Bernie was one of my favorites indeed, especially as a dark skinned dude, cracking on other people. That's always like hilarious, and that was always super funny because, you know, growing up, I wasn't always this big, but I was always dark skinned, and I was especially one of the darker ones in my family, and I had tons of jokes. They used to get roasted on me. It's one of the, so I remember I was writing one of the jokes to my cousin. My cousin was saying, so because back in the day, my cousin is like very fair skinned. So like you're white. Red skin is like very light skinned and stuff like that. Like, and so I'm dark skinned, and then we play like hide and go seek in the dark. And so I was trying to tell this joke on stage. It was kind of not working because people just found like I had rewritten it and I had my homie like dying. So I'm like, okay, let me try to see if I can transfer this on stage. And I was like, I'm laughing, sorry, but what it was hide and seek in the dark. All my cousins are light skinned and I'm dark skinned, so obviously I have the competitive advantage, right? So it was always, as long as two things would either happen. It was either because I used to be perfectly still and I'll never get found. So they were the two things. They'd be like, it was like, oh, if I did get found because I was running around something like that and I'm breathing hella hard, it was like, oh, who's this? Like, oh, I know who this is. It's Corde. How you find me? Because you breathing hella hard, you know, shit like that, right? Like he's like, this is one time my cousin called me and asked him, how do you find me? He was like, cuz I'm walking. And then I just hear some, and he was like, is this wall breathing? He's like, oh, I know who that is. That ain't the wall. That's Corde. And he's like, I got you. You it, right? Or let's say if I wasn't breathing hella hard and I started controlling my breathing and then I was super silent and everybody else got fine except me, my cousin would be like, hey, Corde, open up your mouth so we can see your yellow teeth. So we can find out where you is. I was like, oh, I ain't got no yellow teeth. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Now I can find you. Yeah, now you talk. I can see it now. You over there in the corner. So I can see you. It's hella dark, bro. Yeah. So, yeah, stupid shit like that. Or one time my cousin used to get hit on a lot by one of my sister's friends, right? Let's call it Leo, right? And my sister be like, hey, yo, my friend Leo like you. And he was like, man, I don't want that dark-skinned girl, stuff like that. He had nothing against dark-skinned girl. He just didn't like her. She was like annoying or whatever. He just found, he was like, man, she's so dark. All right, so I'm like the third. I'm not the funniest person in my family. My cousin, super funny, one of the most funniest, most talented people that I've like ever been around. Like he was constantly leading us to do some dumb stuff, right? So my sister's telling the story of like, yo, my friend Leo want to talk to you. She's like, man, yeah, I'm not trying to talk to her. She weird. I don't really like her, stuff like that. Plus she like dark skin. So at the point he don't like her. He also just like third, fourth grade. So he just started making fun of her. You know, boys doing that. He was like, I don't like her. She dark skin, and you know, also like she's so dark. She look, you know, she look like oil spill, and we were just like, oh shit! Like I was in the second grade. As a second grader, I ain't never heard somebody call somebody oil spill before. So I'm laughing, but in the back of my mind, I'm just like, let me be too quiet. So I'm dark skinned too. He could start calling me oil spill and stuff like that, right? So I'm just laughing. So that became her nickname amongst the family, like oil spill. And I was like, damn, you really gonna call that? And so one time we pulled up to my grandma's house and it's like a bunch of us. So it's like my grandma, it's my cousin, my sister, me, and then my two other cousins, right? So my cousin gets out the car and he was like, yo, like yelling to my sister. She's like, what? Man, if you don't tell your friend to go home, your friend Leo, He's like, what are you talking about? My friend not over here. He's like, yes, she is. She right here. He's like, no, she not. I was like, this oil spill right here. Literally points at some oil. It's like, she is right here. And I was like, I'm laughing my head off. I'm like, yo, this fool is stupid. He hella dumb. And I was like, whoo. And he was like, oh, Corde, you right here next to her. There's another spill of oil right here. I was like, damn. So I told that on stage. People was like, "Oh," I was like, "No, that shit funny. That shit funny. Like it's painful but funny at the same time." But that shit was, yeah, it was hella funny, yo. But yeah, it wasn't until I got older I started being more comfortable being dark skinned. Because I remember when all my cousins needed sunscreen so they don't get burned. And I was like, ha 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 ha. The tables have turned. It was super funny. But also another funny, crazy story. We was playing, we outside when you playing all day. And you know how it gets dark at like 5:30 right now? So we'll be outside playing. Because my grandma always said, be outside playing. Y'all need some exercise or just be outside. Don't be in the house all day cooped up in the house, stuff like that. Y'all need to be outside and have fun. So by the time you come in here, you ain't got all that energy. You need to get the energy about it. So playing outside, start getting dark. We, of course, playing hide and go seek. That was like the main thing because there's a way of us to go hide and like do a bunch of stuff, right? So then I'm roasting my cousin. I was like, you light skinned. That's why he was getting burned and stuff like that. He was like, all right, okay. Don't worry. I'm going to get you at the end of the day. Don't worry about it, right? So I'm like, he getting burned up. Like I remember like I think his nose got burned and it was like peeling real bad and stuff like that. I was like, aha, that's hella funny. He's like, what? He was like, I was like, your nose burning. You getting burned up? He was like, who talking? He was like, what? I was like, I'm right here. He was like, who said that? What? Because the sun had set at this point. So he basically saying, I'm so dark that the moment the sun sets, he can't see me no more. He was like, hey, y'all, some ghost out here talking to me right now. He was like, it's Corde. I was like, it's a ghost named Corde? Who? Somebody died? I thought you was alive. And then he was playing this until we got up to the porch and the light was on. He's like, oh, there you is. Oh my God. Oh, he was like, it was some ghost out there chasing us. All right. He was like, the sun has set and you went away. But thank God this light came on because you came back. Matter of fact, I remember my cousin's a trip because he literally used to do like this. We walk in from wherever we was, and it's dark, of course, back to my grandma's house, and then I'll be talking to him, and he wouldn't say nothing, and then all of a sudden the light come on. He was like, "Oh, there you is," and then we would walk out, like the street lights. So every time a street light, he would talk to me. I'd be talking to him. He was like, "Oh, Corde, there you go again." And he was like, so then we move out of the street light. He's like, "Oh, Corde, hey, you got to be letting people know where you at. You just can't be sneaking up on people randomly." Yeah, my cousin ain't shit. So yeah, he was. That's traumatic. I still need to work those jokes in because that man, stupid as hell. So all right, real quick. So yesterday I was at a funeral, right? Unfortunately, my grandma passed. It was super sad, but after a while, like after you like comes to standpoint that she's gone, but she moved on to a better life. She's like in some place better. She's not in pain anymore, right? We get to the table, sitting down, eating. It was called the repast. It's like, will you eat? Stuff like that, or just eat, right? He immediately started cracking jokes. He was like, he's like, remember when we was little, boy? He was like, remember that time? There's a story that we always, every time we come back together, we always reminisce about random stories. He's like, hey, boy, remember that time you broke grandma's couch? And this is my dad's grandma, not my dad's mom, not my mom's mom. So my mom's mom was, we spend most of our time, and then like sometimes on holidays we go to my dad's mom's house. So we my mom's house, our grandma, right? And we call my dad's grandma Granny. So right, just to help confusion. So he was like, we my grandma's house. He's like, hey boy, remember that time you broke grandma's couch? I was like, I didn't break grandma's couch. Boy, yes, you did. Yes, you did. You wanted to run and jump. He all got to sell it. He was like, you over here doing WWE moves and stuff like that. You like, from the top bunker, boom. He was like, and then it was like, it was perfectly fine. It was in one. And then you just like jumped on it and just went, bah, 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 bah. He was like, you knocked out every single leg on the couch. I was like, really? Really, I did that? He was like, yes, you did. I'm like, no, I didn't. Right. And then my sister's like, yes, you did. I was there too. And they wasn't. Like, it's funny because we've told these stories so many times that we envision that we always there. This is what actually happened. Right. my cousin is jumping on the couch. Like he jumping on it. And I'm like, hey, that's not a good idea. We should probably stop. He's jumping. He's like, nah, it's good. This couch is good. This couch is good. Because I can do anything on this couch. He was like, I can jump on it, right? It's good. Then he like got off it. Then he was like one. He's like standing up. Then he like jump on it. He like stand up. Then he was like jump on it. He's like, see, it's good, right? It's good. Then he's like, I can even like back up a few steps, run, jumps on it, right? Backs up a few steps, runs, jump on it. So I get the bright idea. Well, if it's that soundproof, whatever, I'm going to back up like 5-6 steps, run, I'm going to jump. It's going to be still safe. So then I back up 4 or 5 steps and I run and then I jump on it. This is the first time I jumped on it all day. So I run and jump on it and I jump and it goes boom, boom. So at this point, I did break the couch, but he was jumping on it for 30 minutes. So he solved it up. He was like, oh, you broke my grandma's couch. I was like, no, you did. He's like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't do nothing. I didn't break it. So in my head, I'm thinking he probably loosened it up. And then I was the final step. I was the final straw that broke the camel's back. And then like I got in trouble, but I told him, I was like, you broke your grandma's couch. Why? And so also I almost got away with it. Because I was quick on my feet. My cousin getting loud. Ooh, grandma, nah, boy. So my grandma had these books, like these Bibles, whatever, right? So I remember I took a few of them. And then it was like, because it was like the front left leg they had broke. It's like broke or whatever. So it was like kind of sitting. He's like, nah, boy, that ain't going to work. Now, so I took like 3 or 4 Bibles and I stuck them and I put them on and I was like kind of set and it was perfectly fine. It was perfectly fine. It didn't move. You couldn't tell. It was like this little thing over it, so you couldn't even tell the leg was out, right? So then I'm sitting on it. I'm sitting on being quiet, like that. And that ain't moving, like that. I kind of jumped on it, and then it didn't move because it was like sturdy. I had put like 4 like this and another 4 behind it, so it was like the weight was shifted. I was like, okay, cool. So then I didn't say nothing. And then my mom came and picked it up. I just walked outside, my grandma, and I just like left and dipped. And then it wasn't until we got home I was like, whew, I escaped that. I am perfectly fine. My mom about to pull in the driveway, and she was like, these kids that broke my couch, stuff like that. Your son broke my couch. He was like, what? And then she just like, what? Hangs with the phone. My mom calm and collected. I'm like, oh, snap. I act like I'm sleeping. Right? So she's like, okay. Pull in the driveway. I was wake up in the driveway. She was like, turned around. You break your grandma's couch? I was like, what? She was like, you break your grandma's couch? You gonna break your grandma's couch? I was like, no. So I think I got popped or pulled into like, my mom used to whoop everybody. So like she was like the go-to whooping person. She pulls me into the house. Told me to explain what happened. Like explain like what happened. And I think I got a whooping, or I was on punishment, but not a whooping. Cause I told her exactly what happened. She's like, did you break your couch? You running and jumping on your couch? I was like, no, I wasn't the only one running. It's like, was it anybody else? I was like, yes. He was like, who was it? I was like, it was my cousin. It's like, well, what was he doing? Was he jumping on it too? I was like, yes. He was jumping on it a bunch of times. She's like, so what did you do? I was like, well, he was jumping on it like this. And I was like, we shouldn't be doing that. He was like, yeah, because you don't be just breaking stuff. Like, I was not a bad kid. So he said, he just jumping on it. I was like, we shouldn't probably jump on it. He was like, no, it's cool. So he jumping. Then he get off the couch, jump on it again, get on it, jump on it again, get on it, jump it again, right? So then I backed up, and then he take a few steps back and just jumping on it. Took a few steps back, jumping it. So I took a few steps further, run, and I jump on it, and then it broke. And she like, oh, okay. They make it seem like you was the only one doing stuff. And she was like, okay, your cousin did most of the damage and you was the one who eventually just like that. So she understood because she was like, you was the final person that broke it. And that couch is old. But we've been holding on to it for like a long time. You was just the final straw and breaking it. So like, cause I was super scared. She's like, okay, that's not enough. Put you on punishment, but I'm not gonna whoop you because you explained to me exactly what happened. It's like now when it comes to this, I'm gonna have to explain to your auntie that he was doing it too. It's like, no, he said, no, it wasn't. It was him. And I'm just like, no, he constantly was jumping on it. Like everybody jumped on that couch. I was like the last one because I'm just like, nah, this is gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. So when the new couch, of course, the new couch comes. My grandma calls me. Now you don't break this new one, all right? And I'm like, oh god. So this has been a story I haven't been able to live down ever since then. How we doing?
Good. We're at an hour.
Okay. All right. How was this for the first episode, y'all? Y'all getting to know me a little bit. Y'all learn grandma stories and childhood trauma about being the darkest one in the family. You know, so yeah, it's pretty cool. How about you, Noah or Angel? What's your name? That's what I thought. I'm bad with names. Okay, I'll tell a quick story real quick. So I'm a teacher, right? A lot of times, I don't know, it's this weird, nervous thing. You know how you call out to somebody's name and you just say the first, this for me at least, I just say the first name that comes to mind. And I thought your name was Noah. I don't know why Angel comes up, but sometimes when I second guess myself, a random other name I feel like goes to. And like I remember I was calling this one student Omar. I said, Omar, where you going? Omar, where you going? And my student's like, Mr. Snell, there's nobody in this class named Omar. And then I was like, oh, his name is, I don't want to say, his name is this? He was like, yes. And I'm like, I fucking knew it. I thought it was that. But I was like, no, that's wrong. It's this. And it was like, yeah, there's nobody named Omar in this class. Actually, I don't think you have nobody named Omar. I was like, no, I got another student named Omar in my class. I don't. But that's the name that came to mind. Like I remember I was in 6th grade. And this one girl, I forget her name, but she always kept doing stuff. And I remember the name I kept calling her when was Rachel. Wasn't her name. It wasn't close to her name. And she used to get mad because everybody else started calling her Rachel. But then at a certain point, because she kept doing stuff, because she was like the leader of the girls and like kind of like the sassy one, even though she was the smallest one, which was weird. So when I used to say Rachel, she used to knew exactly who I was talking about because I called her that so often, which was like, no, I was going to listen, but you call me Rachel. And Rachel's not my name. And I was like, my bad. Such and such. Come here. You need to listen. You need to do this kind of stuff. She's like, why are you calling Rachel? I was like, I don't know. I think it's a nervous tick I do when like in the moment of saying your actual name, a random name comes out of nowhere when I'm not confident in saying your name or think that's your actual name. And then I say this. I was like, have you ever called a teacher dad or mom? And it's like, why would we do that? And I was like, okay, well, never mind then, because that's happened to me once. But then you might call me somebody else's name, or you might call this person somebody else's name, or you might call your dad mom and your mom dad. Just I think something about the nerve passages like crossed over and something else. So that was me. I call students wrong names sometimes. Shout out to Omar. I don't know who that is, but shout out to him.
You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. So this has been the first episode. What do we call this? The
Corde Snell Show.
The Corde Snell Show. I know. Besides the Corde Snell Show, this is welcome to the starter pack episode of the Corde Snell Show. Yeah, this is the starter pack. We only bigger and better from here. I'll be mostly talking. I got my amazing host Jared. What's your last name, Jared?
Camacho.
I was supposed to say Santiago. You see that weird shit just popped in my head? Yeah, I don't
and
know.
It's funny. I run mics so much. Keep saying host. It's I'm producing the show.
The producer. My bad. The producer, my amazing producer on the ones and twos over here, Jared Camacho, the Camacho Cast. I don't know why I can think that. And then we got Angel, right? I did that on purpose. What's your name? No. I was about to say Jose, so I didn't do that on purpose. But I didn't call you Angel on purpose. I was like, watch this, Jose. And I'm like, nope, still not close. And that's been the first episode of the Corde Show, aka the Corde Podcast. And we're out.